Hey team, and welcome. I'm your host, Carrie, creator of Mother Life, your destination for all things real talk and parenting. This is the IRL group chat, where we talk about the wild balancing act of pursuing careers and passions while also doing our best to show up for our kids. Join me every week as I sit down with some badass parents in my closet and we talk about their careers, kids, and relationships and all of the weird shit that comes up when you're trying to balance the seemingly impossible. More than any stage of life I've encountered thus far, this stage seems to be all about contrasts. The unpredictability and messiness of kids, and yet the organization and coordination required to get them everywhere they need to go. It's also for many a critical juncture in their careers. Are you being promoted and more is being expected from you at work? Are you making a pivot to find a path that accommodates all of the demands of parenting? And somehow within all of that, we're trying to distill the things that make us, us. Since we have less time alone to fill up our own cup, it feels more important than ever to know the things that fuel our fire. Alma Vicencio is a woman of contrasts at first look. She's a professional stylist and a decorated Muay Thai fighter, and a mom living in Brooklyn with her partner and daughter. When I first started talking to Alma, I had to reconcile my preconceived notions about both fashion and fighting, about the things we do for our kids and the things we do for ourselves. In her styling business, Alma is helping professionals to define their personal style. She's taking her experiences as a designer and her experiences as a stylist at John Barbados and Prada and helping people figure out how to just get dressed every day and feel great about it. She's literally bringing Cher Horowitz from Clueless. She's bringing that virtual closet to life in 2025. In her Muay Thai fighting career, she holds 3 consecutive years of the TBA gold medal, the USMTO belts, and the Warriors Cup champion belt in 2019, and she represented the U.S. team at the International Federation of Muay Thai Associations in Thailand. She even bravely posed fully nude for Self Magazine's feature on athletes' views on strength. But as you'll hear, perhaps one of her most poignant accomplishments in recent years is a fight she lost. Because whether we like it or not, it turns out the things we do for ourselves are also things we do for our kids who are always watching. Enjoy this, share it with a friend, get inspired. We're going to start in Chino Hills and we're going to get to today in Brooklyn.
Sure.
Now, you were originally, you said, born in Chicago.
Yes, I was originally born in Chicago. My mom and my dad, they were separated when we were young. It was me and my younger sister. She's 3 years younger. And my mom was ready to get out of Chicago because she is Filipino. She knows the weather of the Philippines. It's nice and warm and cozy. So she was a bit shocked by the freezing, windy, cold weather of the East Coast of Chicago. And she was like, I'm going to raise my kids in California. It's going to be the closest weather to the Philippines. So we ventured our way down to Southern California.
Okay, so are both of your parents Filipino?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so she really knew what good weather was. And then they ended up in the whitest place in the world, which is Chicago.
Yes, but they were able to find, because of nursing in the Philippines, right? If you go to your local hospital, you're going to see a lot of Filipino nurses. And because of nursing, that opens up a lot of opportunities for Filipino immigrants to get work in the U.S. So that's why my mom moved over.
So you moved to Chino Hills and your parents are separated at that point already?
Yes.
So did your dad also move west, or was it just you and your sister and your mom?
So my dad ended up following us. So we moved to Chino Hills, and during that time, my dad's side of the family also immigrated from Chicago, and they all decided just to pack up, and they found affordable, like they could buy a house in Chino Hills, because during that time the development there was really small. It's just small farmlands. There was cows everywhere and hills, and my aunts and uncles from my dad's side of the family all bought a place in Chino Hills. So therefore we all just kind of planted ourselves there, and me and my cousins all grew up in Chino Hills together.
Okay, that's amazing. And
Yeah.
I like how everybody ended up in Chicago. It was just like, fuck no. No
Yeah.
thanks.
Yeah. It's too cold. It was
Meanwhile, we'll
too
get to
cold.
you being in New York and preferring that. We'll get to that in a minute. So, okay,
Yes.
so you're in Chino Hills, you're growing up with your sister,
Yes.
you're mainly with your mom and seeing your dad sometimes?
Yes. Yes. So our parents, in my earlier years, they were together, weren't together, were married, were divorced. So they got married twice and they divorced twice.
Oh,
So
wow.
in my younger years, we just kind of dealt with that and didn't really truly understand. They were
It was your
something,
normal.
it was, yeah, it was my normal, but very conflicted and just confusing. Because we
Yeah.
were so young. Yeah.
And do you think they were doing that because like there was still the love there and they wanted to raise their family together? Like, what, now that you're an adult looking back on them, because now we're at that
Yeah.
age where we're starting to like think about our parents as people, like,
Yeah. Yeah. So I hope my dad never listens to this podcast, but my dad's he's weak. He suffered with, infidelity, always cheated on my mom.
that's hard.
Um, and so my mom, because she loved us, she wanted to stay with him to just keep the family unit together, because
That's fair.
no one ever wants divorce, right?
No.
So I think they kept attempting to try. I think maybe they were very young minded in that time and didn't really know like what they wanted from the relationship, but they wanted that family unit. But my dad was just a little too weak and he couldn't quite
He
follow
couldn't get
through.
it together.
Yes.
And at the time, did you know that, or is that something that you discovered later?
So at the time, like in the times that they weren't together, I would be out with my dad and my sister, and my dad would take us on dates and use us as a cute accessories. Yeah, he used to use us as accessories on his
I
dates.
mean, I bet you guys were adorable, but dad, that's not.
So I wasn't adorable. My youngest sister was the adorable one because she just was so young and liked everyone. But I was at that age where I was like, no, our parents should be together.
You're like
So I
mean
was,
mugging these ladies.
oh, hated all of them, gave them all a hard time. Like, you're not my mom, hands crossed. Like did not give them the time of day, didn't like any of them. In the meantime, my youngest sister, she was cute and little and she's just adorable. They just loved her and didn't like me. I was kind of like the hard part of dating my dad.
Good. Give them hell, Alma.
Oh, I raised hell. I totally raised hell.
Were you like a kid who, I mean, we know you were raising hell in your dad's love life, but were you like
Yeah.
getting in trouble outside of that? Or were you like a goody two shoes? What kind of kid were you?
I was an okay kid. Like I not until like my teen years was when I was kind of would rebel, but for the most part I was pretty good. My mom, because she was alone in our house in Chino Hills, we had to have my grandma, who you could see on my necklace.
Legend.
Yeah, she's a legend. Her name's Aurelia. She passed last year. She moved, and she's a big part of my story and fashion. So I have to introduce her to this
Yes.
story. So my grandma had to move from the Philippines to Chino Hills
To help your
to
mom.
America to help my mom. And so, yeah, I had two strong, amazing women raise me and my sister, and they were a big influence. It was hard because my mom, as a nurse, we barely got to see her. So she was kind of making our family function and survive and provided a roof over our head and food on the table for us. But my grandma was, you know, my mom, that was her way of showing her love. But my grandma was like this side that was
The
like very
quality
present,
time.
very there. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. The mush.
The mush. She was the mush. My mom's like the tough one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was the perfect balance. And then with my dad, we would just visit him every other weekend, and every other weekend we would meet a new girlfriend, and in between then, my dad would prep talk my sister and I, like, don't tell tita means auntie, so we
Yeah.
always would address them tita. Don't tell tita what we did last week with tita blah blah blah. We don't know her. Like, if he we would always have prep talks up into the next date.
This must
So
have been so formative for you in deciding when you were old enough to start dating and stuff, like what you wanted in a partner. I can only imagine.
yes, but it also fucked me up a lot. Like,
That's
I
what I like
had
it.
to,
How could it not?
yeah, it was like a it was a lot of therapy that went with it and a lot of healing, which I feel like I've overcome now in my early 40s. So
Yeah, this is a new chapter. But I mean,
yeah,
having that exposure to systematically something where you like
yeah,
start to feel like it's normal and then you become an adult yourself and
and
you're
you're
like,
like,
wait a minute.
that was not normal. Yeah,
Turns out like that was
yeah,
not okay.
yeah.
Um so when you were in like high school, what sorts of things were you drawn to outside of home?
Always art, always art, always fashion. Um, I would always go to thrift stores and like bring a giant like garbage bag home of like amazing finds, which at the time when you would buy vintage dresses, they were only like a dollar 50. I would spend $20 and I would lug just like amazing printed pieces from the 70s, 60s, wide leg, bell bottoms, all the like just stuff that I love still today. I actually still have um a couple of pieces that I thrifted, I still wear today and still have from that time.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. And were you doing that? Was that like a solo activity or did you have a group of friends and community that similarly loved this stuff?
It was just me, but then like I had like a couple of friends hop on the bandwagon. They always would compliment my style and always said I was a bit different. And it was like before like shopping vintage was like cool.
Yeah.
My mom would kind of scold me. She's like, "All everyone's gonna think we're poor because you're wearing secondhand clothes." And I'm like, "No, this stuff is good. It's better made." Like the style, like I don't know, thrift stores back in the day were so sick. I found the coolest things. So, but a couple of friends started shopping with me and got into it as
Getting
well.
into it. And what
Mhm.
was your relationship with your sister?
So before high school, I just got to slip this in there because it would be awful for me not to mention. I have another younger sister.
Oh, there's another one. Okay.
There's two. So like the time frame is kind of weird. So when I was 9, I had another sister,
Got it.
and not with the same father, but she's my sister,
Yeah.
100%. And so when I was 9, we had. So now there's a 3-year gap with this one, and then from that one, I have a 9-year gap with the youngest one.
Got
So
it.
there's 3 of us. So the household now, it was my mom, my grandma, and then my 3 sisters. I mean,
Amazing.
sorry, the 3 of us as
Yeah.
sisters. So
Yes.
5 of us.
There's a lot of
Um,
strong female energy in a house.
so much female energy. But your question was, how was my relationship with my sisters? And
Yeah. Yeah. Were
and
you guys close? Did you fight? What was it like?
so we fought. We fought a lot. We my the one that was 3 years younger than me, she was we're so opposite. I was a creative, she was always got straight A's, she was the gate student. We I like she was always the like homecoming queen, cheerleader. I was the athlete, but she was also an athlete as well. We both ran track. I did basketball. So if anything, we bonded mostly with track. But I think there was a bit of, maybe there could have been some sibling rivalry there. Not on my end because I was like the bigger one, but she like, oh, I felt as if we couldn't get like close in our high school years because we were in high school at the same time, like
Yeah.
me being a senior, her being a freshman.
Yeah.
Um, my relationships, and then my relationship with the youngest one, she was my baby.
Of
Like
course. Yeah. I knew
yeah,
that was coming.
she was like my little sister buddy. So me and the youngest sister bonded a lot as me being the ate, the oldest sister. The middle one felt a little bit more like outcasted and was kind of just did her own thing. And she's still the same way. Like she's just type A, everything's black and white. Me and my youngest, we were like we still are till this day are like the emotional one. but um but yeah,
I love a birth order. I love
yeah.
a, what's interesting about this though is that it's the middle one is different, which is I feel like the stereotype of a middle, but in this case she's different because she's type A and very like
Hmm.
structured, whereas you guys seem like the more creative emotional ones, which I
Yeah.
feel like is often what the middle gets tapped with. So you guys are like your own blend.
Yeah, we're our own blend. But we got along, like we weren't like tight, like we weren't close. We ran track together, me and I'm just gonna name them. Allison, we were good in high school, but we weren't tight. Like we weren't going to the movies together and like
Yeah,
getting lunch. We just, and then the youngest one, we were tight because she was
because
young.
she's your baby.
She was my
Um,
baby.
so now let's talk a little bit about your athleticism. When did you sort of get interested in more than just sort of the requirements of school in terms of physical fitness?
Oh, so I started really young in sports. When I was in fifth grade, played basketball. Basketball was like my life, and uh, did that up until sophomore year of high school. So always sports. Uh, I did track in high school. I ran hurdles, long jump. That was what really ignited me being competitive and really taught me discipline and having goals. And I've just been an athlete ever since. I guess since I was 10, I've just always been an athlete. Always wanted to be one of the best but never like forced to try it.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't the goal. It was just like I did the things, right? Like I went to practice every day.
Yeah. You put the time in.
I put the time in, practiced alone, like playing basketball, like outside with my cousin's basketball
Alma,
hoop.
how tall are you?
I'm 5'5", but forever I thought I was 5'6".
Sure, sure, sure.
And my coach, which you'll hear later on, put me on our webs on our gym website as 5'7". I appear taller than what I truly am.
Okay, we love that. That's just like your just your energy.
Yeah.
Okay, so after high school you've like really cultivated two pieces of your or your sort of interests. You've got this athleticism and the sports that at this point from age 10 now into high school like you're really putting a lot of time in. And
Yeah.
also when you're not doing that, you're going to the thrift stores with your friends
Yeah.
and buying cool stuff and wearing cool stuff.
Yeah. I have to like I know like we're going down this timeline and I keep jumping back.
That's what
But
this is not a linear
yeah,
process.
but I have to mention that when my grandma moved from the Philippines, she was a seamstress in the
Ding
Philippines.
ding. Okay.
Yeah, so she was a seamstress in the Philippines. So growing up, she would always be on the sewing machine, sewing up clothes or curtains, whatever. She was just amazing. And what we used to do at a very, very young age, we would go to in Southern California. Oh, you live in Southern California. They call them swap meets. A lot of people don't know what swap meets are
Tell us,
in the
our
East Coast.
listeners are not all West Coasters, so why don't we walk through a swap meet experience? And I think everybody regionally will be able to identify something that they have that looks like this. But explain a swap meet.
So a swap meet, this particular one was like every weekend at a high school parking lot. And
Okay.
basically it's people that are like different vendors, whether it be food, fabric, I don't know, certain day of the week at the same time. And people could go and buy from the vendors for fairly affordable prices. Think like a flea market, but like not as bougie.
Okay, so as somebody who grew up in Florida, there's
Yeah.
nothing bougie about a flea market. It was like
Exactly. Oh,
there's
okay.
like barbecue and boiled peanuts would be like the
Okay.
food option, and
Yeah.
then I have very distinct memories of going with my dad and like being super excited that I found like a really sweet flashlight. Like
Yeah.
that's
Cool. Okay.
There is definitely a certain ethos to the experience that we don't
Yeah.
exactly have, for sure.
Yeah, it was pretty diverse. You would get fabrics from everywhere. So there was a lot of fabric vendors at the swap meet during the time, which is why my grandma would always like to go. And so we'd go to the swap meets weekly, and that's where I would look at fabrics and fall in love with like the different fabrics. And my mom would buy me like a couple of yards, and then we'd go home inspired by the fabrics, and I would illustrate. I was probably like 7, 8 years old around this time, and I would draw what I wanted, and then grandma would sew it, and I would just sit there and watch her sew. So that really implanted my love for fashion on the creative side of it, even before going to the thrift stores.
It's such a gift. I was similarly very drawn to fashion from a very early age, but I didn't have the exposure to somebody who could sew really well.
Yeah,
So that I feel like for me, I kind of hit this asymptote where I was trying
yeah,
to replicate my shitty Urban Outfitters skirts by
yeah,
like making reverse patterns and like
yeah,
hand sewing these things because nobody was gonna really help bring these creations to life. So I
yeah.
think it's such a gift that you were able to like have that really up close and personal experience early on.
Oh, yeah, it was really great actually to do that because I was just so creative, and then she would just come in and take the time, and we would like collaborate, my
So
grandma
cool.
and this little 7-year-old girl. No, that's not what I meant, grandma. I meant the pockets need to go like this and the button should be here. And so she's a major part of this story.
I love it. All right, Aurelia.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we are getting to your finishing high school.
Hmm.
You have these different pieces of things that you know you love. You're
Yep.
becoming an actualized person, and you next decide to go to design school, right?
Yes. So what's really funny, because growing up as a Filipino American whose mother is a nurse, it is implanted in you that you are going to be a nurse also, because that is what saved us from poverty.
Yeah.
And so now we're supposed to be nurses. So the whole time this is all happening, and little Amma is this creative, energetic ball of energy. The whole time I'm going to school to be a nurse. Like thinking this the
Yeah.
whole entire time. So I was applying for schools and
Wait,
everything.
can I
Wanted
just
to,
quickly ask a dumb
yeah,
white person question?
yeah.
Was there ever scope for little Alma to maybe be a doctor or was it a nurse?
It was a nurse.
Okay.
It
Why
was a
what is
nurse.
the what's the like is do you think it's just like becoming a nurse doesn't take as much time or that just the thing that you
I,
do?
that's a really good question. It was what all of the women were doing. And maybe there's a little bit of like gender role thing going on in there, that the doctor's male and the nurse is female. But all of my aunties were nurses, so it was just nurse.
Got it. Okay. I was just curious.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, in your
So
mind, you're going to be a nurse.
I'm gonna be a nurse. Like that's it. I'm not even thinking about fashion at all. Like that's not even an option.
Right.
And so as I'm like finishing school, I'm thinking I'm gonna go to Cal State Long Beach to be a nurse. And I no one really helped me with my applications, and my mom didn't really know, so I did it all wrong. In short, like I thought I wasn't accepted to Cal State Long Beach, but I was. I just didn't read it right. And I was like, oh, well, no, that's not for me. I guess I'm not going there. Right. I just assumed, didn't like run it through like a parent or a professional.
Yeah.
But I think it was just deep inside of me. Like I knew it wasn't what I wanted
Your
to do.
eyes saw what they wanted to see.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And my friends at the time was like, I'm going to fashion school. And I was like, what?
What is
There's a
this?
So we visited the school, FIDM, and I was like, oh, this is more in alignment with me. And I went to fashion FIDM in LA, and
How was
I
your mom
became,
with that?
she was like, it kind of hurt, but then she was all for it. She's like, if you're sure this is something you want to do, then I support you. So we went for it, and I did it. And right after school. I was one of the few that got a job right after school as an assistant dress designer.
That's kind of huge. I mean, that's
Yeah.
like saying you want to be a fashion designer or you want to work in fashion is like saying you want to be a professional athlete in terms of just like the numbers game of the jobs available and how to do
Yeah.
it. So the fact that you leave school, get a job doing exactly what it is you wanted to do, and how did Aurelia feel? She must have been amped.
Grandma, she never, she doesn't show excitement. She just was always very steady, and she was very like, "That's good." Like, that's just how she was. That's just how she was.
Fair. But you knew, like, she had her own signs of approval where you were like, oh, she thinks I did a good job.
I think my family was kind of proud because it was not the norm. And all my cousins right now that live in Southern California, they're all in the medical field and they're
Sure.
all nurses. So I'm the black sheep of the family. But although Allison, she's different. She didn't do nursing.
What did she
Um,
do?
so she works, well, right now she has a like women's, well, it's not just for women, it's an empowerment group in Orange County
Cool.
called Rise and Reclaim, but it's specifically for like not ex, for mothers who are dancers. And they like come together and they host like different workshops with different choreographers, and it's to get women or anyone to just get in touch with their passion for dance and other things too
I
as a
think you
dancer.
are a black sheep. I think you're more of like a brightly colored sheep.
Okay,
Okay.
I'm
I don't know what
I'm
color,
I'm
but
the
like,
rainbow.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm
like
the rainbow sheep.
I don't see a
Yeah.
black sheep for you. Okay, so you get this first job out of college, and is it everything you hoped it would be? And are you feeling really fulfilled doing that work?
It was really fun. Shout out to Leanna Lynn. She has a shop in Culver City called Leanna Lynn's Wonderland. It's very popular in LA. But anyways, I was her assistant, and it was great because of her. She made it great. She taught me everything.
That's so nice to
Um,
hear.
we fell in love. We both had purple hair. Like when she saw me and interviewed me, I had short, spiky purple hair, and so did she. And right away, it was just like a match made in heaven. So I was very, very lucky to work with her and train under her as her assistant designer. But on the flip side, the design director was very much like the woman in Devil Wears Prada.
Oh God.
So I had that experience as well in the fashion industry where the woman was kind of cruel and mean and did the coffee thing, and yeah, so but luckily Leanna was, she was my we had our own little bubble outside of everything else.
Yeah.
So we created the most beautiful dresses together.
And okay, and so at this point you're like in your early 20s.
Yes.
At what point in all of this in your story does Muay Thai enter the picture?
Muay Thai doesn't enter till I'm in New York.
Oh, great.
But
Oh, we got
I
time.
we have time, but I will say being the athlete that I was when I really, really started taking up a lot of running, and I was running marathons. So that's where I it was always important for me to have like an end goal.
Yeah.
And so then I started doing marathons, half marathons, living in LA, being stuck in a car, that being my first job, first jobs were in LA as assistant designer, then eventually a designer. That was my outlet, was running.
I was just going to ask you, are you one of those people who like needs to get your yayas out by exercising or else you're sort of just like a basket case?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Because there's, there are we all need, I think, a minimum level of movement, but there are some people who really need more.
No, I'm extreme. So that's why it's like I'm going to start running and then signed up for a marathon. Like it's
Right.
not like, oh, let me just like try to do 2 miles first.
Right.
It was like, nope, I'm training for a marathon
Sure.
now. And I've just always and still am that way. So
Okay. All right.
so
Okay.
that kept
So
me.
so then you go on to have a series of different jobs in sort of different parts of the fashion world, from designer to personal shopper, right?
Yes. So from there, I realized how much I hated LA. For
What was
me,
it
just
about it? Like with that
the
that didn't.
so I was like, I think during the time I was so young, like my friends were still in college because they went to like 4-year universities, and I was already starting my life like in my career.
Yeah.
So being in LA, I felt like very, very isolated and away from my friends and family. Like I had a cute apartment, like all these things, but I was like grown up, but like trapped in a child's body. And what really got to me was it was the LA traffic was really, really hard for me. Um, but I stuck it out for a couple of years, and I just wanted to branch out. And so in this time I had maybe 3 jobs. So I right away I was like assistant designer, and then from there I was an assistant designer again, and then from there I became the head designer of a junior contemporary company. And I was a head designer for a while. So did that for a couple of years, and I think I was just itching to get out of LA. Like I was like, okay, I've done LA.
Yeah.
And I didn't want a car anymore. I just didn't want a car. So from there I left and I moved to San Francisco.
Okay.
And in San Francisco was when there wasn't like a lot of design jobs there, but I started working at Neiman Marcus as as like a sales rep in the handbag department, and I did that. But then that naturally led to just like personal shopping for clients, because you just from there you can
Yeah.
sell. And then after Neiman Marcus, a guy who he just recently passed, I found out this week.
Oh,
His name was Bruce Weldon. He kind of is a bit another big pivotal part in my life, where it just kind of bumped me to the direction I am. And he came to Neiman Marcus and saw me, liked my style, liked my personality, and was like, "Hey, we're opening up a store across the street." And it was John Barbados.
okay.
And so they hired me at John Barbados, and there you're like a personal shopper, you style people, and that's where I really got to develop learning how to work with men. And that was such a fun job. That job, I made lifelong friends. I'm still friends with them today. um, and we have matching tattoos on
Oh,
our
sweet.
ankle.
I wish this was a video podcast for moments like this. Your entire face is glowing when you're
Yeah.
talking about this chapter.
This was a great chapter. Really found myself during this time and learned a lot. And so, in short, I made amazing friends, lived in San Francisco, really started cultivating my skills in styling. As for like active, like I still ran, just not as much. I kind of partied a lot during that time. San Francisco is very fun and queer, and there's parties all the time. And we were just like young and beautiful in San Francisco. It was so fun. So
Love
that was
it.
that was a good time. And then from there, after San Francisco, that's when I moved to New York. Bruce recruited me again in New York, and that's when I started working for Prada. And so again, he really taught me a lot of skills in selling and styling and working with high-end clients. And so that's what got me to New York.
Less than a year ago, I had to have major surgery to address my Crohn's disease. Since surgery, I have overhauled how I live and how I eat. I focus mainly on protein, eating whole foods, and mainly the Mediterranean diet. I lift weights several times a week, and I'm trying to manage my stress. But part of the success of this overhaul has been that I still allow myself to eat delicious things that aren't strictly on the plan. It feels more sustainable that way. As a consequence, I've become very picky about the type of sweet treats I indulge in. I want them to be delicious, made with high quality ingredients, and finite. If it's more than 3 bites, it's not really serving me anymore. Enter Rose Macaroons. This mother-founded business is truly the ideal 3-bite treat for me to enjoy some sweetness and feel fully satisfied after eating just one. If you're a fan of coconut, this deeply satisfying treat is just for you. Head to rosemax.com for 20% off with code MOTHER20. I'll put this in the show notes along with founder Audrey Rose's wonderful Mother Life episode. Regular listeners to the pod will know I love to talk about the real stuff. And for many listeners, that real stuff is our aging bodies, our postpartum bodies. I've always marveled at my friends who just go commando in their leggings without a care in the world. I have a lot of questions for them, mainly around laundry. My body just isn't built like that, and turns out most women's bodies aren't. Between unpredictable discharge, you know I love to talk about discharge, and the risk of UTIs, there's a lot telling us that underwear is actually extremely useful. While underwear might be helpful, it's not always the vibe. Skimpies was invented by a fellow mother who wanted to live life in her leggings without panty lines, without UTIs. Skimpies is a liner for your leggings that won't budge when you're working out, running to catch a bus, or just doing the unending amount of squats we all do all day long, picking stuff up from the floor. Head to skimpies.com to learn more and snag yourself a monthly subscription. If part of the motherhood journey is about reclaiming some confidence, some sexy in your body, let Skimpies help. Head to the show notes for more info, including a link to the founder of Skimpy's, Bette Bentley's Mother Life episode. Use the discount code MOTHER20 to get 20% off your purchase. You know what one of my husband's biggest complaints is? He hates how I organize, or don't organize, the kid shit, especially the diaper bag. He claims that if he knew where to easily find stuff, he'd use it more and, by proxy, take the kids out more on his own. Well, game on, sir. Get your own bag. The Gojo Backpack by Silverback Supply Company is the move. Designed by a dad who was also sick of his wife's diaper bag shenanigans, it's the perfect bag for living life with a baby. It's got a padded sleeve for your laptop or tablet, bungees to secure that blankie or stuffy, a built-in changing pad, and more. I know the tradition is that you buy a cutesy diaper bag for new moms at the baby shower. But what if we flipped the script, started buying gear for the dads, set the tone that they're equals in this thing right from the get-go? If you've got a dad to young kids, a dad that's expecting, or really any parent that's into minimalist, modern design and needs to lug some kid shit around, hit them with something different. Go to silverbacksupplyco.com and use discount code MUTHA, MUTHA, for 20% off and free shipping and handling. I'll put a link in the show notes. Now, brands like Prada, obviously, there are a lot of stereotypes that come with that shopping experience, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's probably become maybe more so as like social media influencing has become a part of the thing of like people bringing their phones into stores with them and like showing their shopping experience.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say, and again, I ended up, when I went to college, I really thought I was going to work in fashion. My first semester of college, I interned for a menswear designer. I really thought this is what I was going to do. And I had a really hard time with the culture. Like the people I found to be really bitchy and they didn't care.
Yeah.
And I wasn't a size 0.
Yeah.
And I found menswear to be nicer because, whatever.
Is.
But I just, in general, I just was like, wow, you guys don't give a fuck about anything but yourself.
Yeah.
And when you're working at that level, at those types of brands, you're this incredibly warm, bubbly person.
Yeah.
But that's kind of not the vibe, right?
No. And this will all tie into Alma Styles later.
Yeah.
But
So tell me about what it was like to work in that sort of environment.
It was fun. Like we made it fun, but it was also very toxic, you know. I think I fit in there because, well, obviously like my love for fashion and styling, but maybe I was a little breath of fresh air,
Yeah.
you know, because like you come in and I wasn't intimidating. I was always smiling. But it was fine. It was good. It wasn't the end goal.
Yeah.
But I learned what I needed to learn. I made some friends along the way. And had to kind of grow past and look past and it kind of just push aside the toxic environment to keep moving. But that it eats away at you. Like the way that like traffic ate away at me, it kind of ate away with me also in the industry. And more than just at those brands, like even further, like in my career as well.
Yeah.
So.
And what did you think of your New York life moving, from SoCal to NorCal and then to the coldest and snowiest and wettest and slipperiest
Hmm.
of them all. How was
So
that?
the facade of that all, like, it was so brand new to me, and I don't think I'll ever get used to New York weather ever, right?
How long
But
have you lived there now?
14 years
Yeah.
minus like a year and a half break when I had my daughter. So we'll get into that later. But almost 14 years now. I I felt like my lifestyle at that age felt like super glossy. Like it was so cool and so fun and exciting, and I was meeting completely different people. Um, and to like work for these brands was, at that time it seemed pretty cool and it was fun. Um, but as I got used to it, I knew I did not want to be in that type in the industry that way.
Yeah.
So, but I loved
And
it. It was fun. I thought I was only going to stay in New York for 3 years, but now it's been 14.
yeah,
So
and here you are. And at what point in this story do we meet? Like, were you dating throughout this time? Did you have an idea of wanting a partner? Were you what were you thinking on the romance side?
on the romance side, I was definitely dating. It was really fun. It was like I was it was before apps, but then it was like also the beginning of apps. So like Grinders like was like the OG app, right?
Yes.
And then they had a straight version that promoted on GQ called Blender. Did you ever
I
hear of?
I missed Blender.
Well, good because it was a shit show. But like so I hopped onto Blender, and I guess it was promoted on GQ, and it was like the grinder for straight people. So when when men logged onto Blender, they thought they were gonna have the grinder hookup experience.
Oh, no. Yeah, this
But then
isn't like a bathroom quickie situation.
no, and that's what they thought, because like a lot of Grinder was that. Like that was
Yeah.
that kind of the reputation that's the reputation
Still to
of
this very day,
Grinder.
I believe.
Yeah, yeah. And so Blender was the new one. And so when women hopped on it, they were like they went with the intention of dating, and then the guys went the intention of getting laid. So I did give that a shot, and I had fun. And it but then it died out, and then Tinder came out. So I was just at the Blender part, like the testing phases of dating apps. And in that time is where I've met my partner, who I currently still am with today, who is my baby daddy.
Talk
So
to me about your baby daddy. Where did you guys meet?
we met. So I went through like a bad breakup, and then in 2013, I was like, this is my year. I'm going to start dating. And we met at a club, a hip hop club. My girlfriend, who now lives in New York, was visiting from San Francisco. She invited me to go out every night. Like we went out every single night, and she just wanted me to like have fun. So we went out, and he was on a Tinder date, I believe.
Up, see, it all comes full circle. Yep.
And then I just got back from a date with a trainer at like 24-hour fitness, who I had like a huge crush on for like a year. And I was like, I came to this hip hop like club. It was called If Your Mother Only Knew or something, to meet with my girlfriend. And I was all smitten by this guy that we went on a date with. And anyways, as we're walking in, my partner's name, his name's Danny, he was walking out. And she grabbed him, and she grabbed my hand, and she put our hands together, and he looked like the heart emoji eyes, but he was leaving his Tinder date because he said she did not look like her picture. And then he saw me, and it was like he was very attracted to me, and I wasn't thinking about him. I was just like, oh, okay. So I started talking to him, and that night he was just what got me was his humor. He was really, really funny, native New Yorker, very East Coast humor. um Talked shit about everything. Everything was just funny, and I forgot about my date after that, after I met him.
Oh,
And he got me because he made me laugh a lot. So that was the key to my heart. And yeah, we've been together ever since.
Wow, that is so cute. Also, if I was your friend, I would make that introduction my entire personality. Like like introducing or like sort of like being the catalyst for somebody's long-term love and having
Yeah,
it work out so beautifully. I would be buying a coffee and bringing it up. Like I wouldn't be able
yeah,
to let that go. That is such a
yeah.
special thing and I hope that she rightfully brags about it whenever she has an opportunity.
I brag about it more for her, and yeah, I'm super grateful for her. She just knew right away, like I would
That's
like him.
crazy. That's
And
crazy.
he thought when he met her, she's gay, by the way.
Yeah.
He thought when he met her, he was like, "Oh, I guess I'm going home with this girl, right?" Because like the date was a loss, the Tinder was a loss. So he was like, "Oh, this girl likes me." Didn't not realize she was gay. So he was like, "Okay, I'm gonna go with her." And then when he introduced her to me, I was more his his type, and
More
like
interested
we
in
both
dick.
yeah, and more interested in dick, and we like kind of look the same because like we both have black frames, and he had like a little pompadour. She said she liked him because he looked like a little hip hop nerd, and like now that I know about him, like he's always liked brown girls. He's Italian, and he's always liked Filipino girls for some reason. Not as a fetish, but just like he just was attracted to Filipino women. So he just he's like he liked me,
So
and
cute.
yeah, yeah. So now he's my baby daddy.
And talk to me about that journey. Did you guys know that you wanted to have a kid? Like, had you
No.
talked about expectation? Like, how did this come up, this next chapter?
So we were dating and having a lot of fun. We never talked about kids or anything. And they here interject martial arts is where
And
this is
scene.
where it happens. This is where it happens. So in the beginning, he was very, very much into he is still very much into Brazilian jiu-jitsu. And when we were dating, he kept like leaving to go to jiu-jitsu, and he was like changing his diet, and I was like, what is going on like with this guy? Like and during that time I was drinking a lot, and like partying and just kind of having fun because I had that breakup. And so I saw that whatever this Brazilian jiu-jitsu thing was creating a very positive impact on his life, and I liked it and I wanted it, so I tried it. Wasn't for me. But it was the introduction to a martial arts. I knew I needed something, right? Like, so a friend invited me to a Muay Thai smoker.
What does that
Um,
mean?
so a smoker isn't like a full competition on the books. It's more like hard sparring,
Okay.
but kind of like with and nobody wins or loses,
Yeah.
right? So it's just like a hard spar, but everyone kind of watches and cheers for you.
Got it. Okay, that sounds fun.
So I was invited to a Muay Thai smoker from my friend. His name's Paolo, and also during this time, one of my friends in San Diego, her name is Jerry. I noticed on social media, she was also doing Muay Thai and was like, "You should try it." So it was kind of like in my ear. I go to the smoker, and it was incredible. Like I love that there was like dogs running around. I love that when they would fight there was music. I love the shorts. I mean, me being in fashion, they were just like bright,
You
colorful shorts.
killing me. She loves the fashion of the sport. Okay, great.
Yeah, yeah. And I looked over to my right, and there was a girl my size. She was shadow boxing, and to me, when I thought of a fighter, I thought of a big, strong man. But I look over, and like she was doing the movement, and I didn't even say this, but I always grew up dancing as well.
Yeah.
Like I always loved dance. And so I could recognize beautiful movement. And I thought her movement was so beautiful. It was like brutal, but like so beautiful at the same time. And right away, like the culture of it, I was like, I need to try this. And it
You
wasn't,
didn't
it,
find it at all, like, jarring? Because it is I mean, people, like, get fucked up.
well, that part was like kind of fun too, but I more saw the beauty in the movement and the culture, like the music, and
Yeah.
like seeing like the dogs running around. Like I'm a dog
I
person.
love the dogs running around is big for you, yes.
like it was like, oh, this is like the thing. And this gym is called Kobon's. It's no longer there anymore. But I went to Kobon's gym, and I was like, I gotta try this. And so once I decided I wanted to try it that week, I did a session, and Kobon's was a little bit farther away from me. So I was like, okay, maybe I could find another gym close to me. So my partner, Danny, he was a part of another podcast called Walking Alone that talked about martial arts. He had a studio, so they would record at his studio, and there was a fighter there, Cornell, who is still my friend till this day, and another fighter who did MMA that would have their podcast together. And he goes, why don't you go to Cornell's gym? It's called 5 Points. So I go on Google, I look it up from my current job, and it was a 2-minute walk.
We love a 2-minute walk. For the woman who doesn't like traffic or a car, she fucks with a 2-minute walk, I bet.
So basically, I just had to walk through a hotel, and then I was there, and then like enter the door, and I was there, and I was like, perfect. Tried the gym, tried 5 Points, immediately fell in love. And that was it. That's how Muay Thai started.
And we know that our girl goes from let me try running to let's go to a marathon. So for Alma, it was never just going to be let me do a couple Muay Thai classes. It was going to be something serious.
No. Balls to the wall. Like, are you even living unless you're going 100% in? And that was me. And that's where Muay Thai came, and it transformed my life. I would find myself waking up in the morning, Saturday mornings, where I normally would be hungover, up in the morning with my backpack and my gear, just like very happily walking to the train to go to the gym at 10 a.m., which was not, I was like, who am I? Like, who is this person? And
do you remember your first fight?
Oh, of course. It was amazing. Yeah. Well, after training for a couple of months, I believe it was maybe 8 months, the coach writes your name on the board for a competition. He kept asking my weight. So that's like a very common thing. If the coach is like, what's your weight? That
We're
means
getting ready to put you up for a fight.
Yeah. So then he booked me about maybe 9 months later after training for my first fight. And it was in Philly, and it was my first fight. It was so fun. The rounds were supposed to be 2 3-minute rounds. The person who was doing the clock messed up and did 3 3-minute rounds, which doesn't sound like a lot,
That's
but
a
it's
big
a
difference.
huge, when you're fighting somebody. That's 3 extra minutes.
Yeah, that's a lot.
So so yeah, and after that, I won my first fight. The adrenaline, the excitement, the everything, and from that moment on, I was hooked. I was like, get me a fight all the time. Um, and yeah, from there, like my partner and I, we were not thinking about kids at all. We were going to Thailand every year to train, sometimes a month to 2 months. We would just do camps. I continued to fight. I was pretty active, maybe a fight every month or so, did tournaments often. And I was
And
doing
is
pretty
winning,
well.
this is again a stupid question, but from somebody who doesn't know this world,
Yeah.
are you winning for bragging rights? Is there prize money involved?
No, there's no prize money. It's just and and it's everyone likes to win, right? But it wasn't even for the win. It was just for the experience,
Yeah.
to see how you acted under pressure, how you responded to somebody going 100% trying to take off your head off in front of you, and like how do you respond to that. It was more the adrenaline and like the test that kind of did it for me, and I didn't really have a goal for it.
Yeah.
I was just having fun.
What would you say your sort of like competitive apex was when you feel like you were at the height of your game?
So naturally, so because I was just competing a lot and um, doing tournaments, I not to toot my own horn, but I did pretty well.
I
And
want you to toot your own fucking horn.
so then
Toot toot.
my coaches, I was signed up to fight in a tournament against a girl who fought in in my division. She fought for the U.S. team, and in preparation for that, they wanted me to win this tournament. And so that's where I was like, oh, shit's getting real now, right?
Yeah.
And before that, I already like had a belt and all that, but now I'm like, there.
Now
It
you're
wasn't
competing
even,
with Olympians.
yeah, it wasn't even a thought in my head that I would ever like make it like to even like think I could even be a contender for this because I didn't even know it existed.
Yeah.
And so basically, they made me go down a weight class, and I beat her in the tournament, and then I was qualified to make the U.S. team. By that time, I had a couple belts, won a couple of tournaments, had a good enough experience, and my coach, they like submitted me like to join the team, and I in 2019 I got to represent the U.S. team in Thailand, which was pretty fucking cool.
That's pretty
I know.
fucking cool.
Yeah, it was cool. And so that's how that was the apex of
That's
my
you said that was
competing.
2019?
Yeah, that was 2019.
And how old is your daughter?
My daughter right now just turned 3 on January 10th.
Okay.
So I didn't
So
have her yet.
you
Yeah.
didn't have her yet, but like she also isn't that far off now, just a couple of years off from that point.
Right. And then COVID's around the corner.
COVID's around the corner. So, when does the getting pregnant part of the story enter? Where you said you guys weren't really talking about it. So, how did we end up with a child we are obsessed with?
So COVID happened and it just kind of stopped me from competing. Everyone's bored at home, so you know what's going on at home.
Yep.
And that's when I got pregnant.
You and
I
Chris
got
also have that in common. I know your kids are similar
exactly.
ages.
They are. They're like a month apart. So that's when I got pregnant. And that's also when I started Alma Styles. So the week that I stopped working for the styling firm that I was working for, the week I decided to quit, 3 days later, I found out I was pregnant. And the reason why I found out I was pregnant was I was sparring someone and someone kicked me in the boob. And I was like, oh my God, that hurts so bad.
You're like, wait a minute.
So I was like, what's going on? So I immediately booked to see my gynecologist to see what was going on, afraid that I like had like maybe breast cancer or something. And I'm telling my partner this. I'm like, I gotta go see a doctor. I've never felt this much pain on my chest before. And so he's thinking I'm going to the doctors to see if I have like cancer or something wrong with my breast, when in fact I found out that I was pregnant.
How far along were you at that point?
8 weeks.
Wow. I mean, you were really fucking pregnant. You
Yeah, I
weren't
was
you
pregnant.
weren't just a sprinkle of pregnant.
I guess, is that really pregnant?
That's like
Eight
when you go
weeks.
for your first scan when you're trying to get pregnant. That's when you go for your like you pee on the stick and then that's your first appointment in an office on purpose to find out you're pregnant.
So maybe 6 weeks then. So not.
I mean, meaning
I don't
like
know.
it's usually somebody who's trying to get pregnant. That's usually their first in office visit to confirm with the
Yeah.
doctor that there's like a viable embryo in there.
So there's 6 to 8 weeks. I don't remember. It's
Amazing.
all over. And so my partner, I was like, you got to pick me up. Oh, also on top of that, my sister 2 days before that told me she was pregnant.
Wow.
So I find out I'm pregnant. I call my partner. I'm like, you have to pick me up. And he's like, why is everything okay? So now he's scared that I might have bad news that I have breast cancer or
Yeah.
something's wrong. And now I'm like, oh, great, I have to hold this all in and like, I'm pregnant. I have to tell someone. So I call up my sister and I'm like, guess what? And I show her the ultrasound and she's like, shut the fuck up. And so now we're both pregnant at the same time, unexpectedly.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. And what was his reaction?
He didn't believe me. I have it on Instagram actually,
Okay,
like
we'll
his
put it in the show
reaction.
notes. I'm gonna put it in the show notes.
Yeah, his reaction is like he's like, so what happened? He's scared. He thinks he's about to hear the worst news ever, and I show him the ultrasound and he's looking at it and he thinks it's my boob.
So funny.
And he's like, what am I looking at? I was like, yeah, like, and then it clicks and he goes, oh, you're pregnant. And then we just start crying
Oh,
and
sweet.
we're on this, like in Chinatown, just crying with traffic right behind us. And it's pretty cool.
And how has parenting been? I mean, I almost think it's a gift that you guys weren't planning it in the sense that you couldn't overthink anything.
Yeah.
How has it been? How has sort of the partnership been? How has the division of labor been? What has been surprising for you on this journey?
Um, God, that's a loaded question
It's
because,
like 8 questions.
yeah. So enter Aurelia. She, so
Aurelia Jr., to be clear. This Aurelia is named after the legendary, the one and the own, the
yeah,
Philippines fantastic
yeah,
Aurelia,
yeah.
the American one.
Aurelia, the American one, calls her Grandma Great instead of Great Grandma, and I like Grandma Great. But having Aurelia, it's we Danny and I we had it have but had a like really fun life together before her, a lot of traveling, a lot of exploring, and then having her definitely brought in a lot of challenges as natural, which is very normal. But he has been really great in taking, which is different for this generation now, as I hear fathers are a lot more involved. When I was breastfeeding, I was an exclusive pumper. He helped try to take off a lot of the load, whether it was like cleaning the parts. As for taking care of her, I don't think I changed diaper the first 6 months of her life because he did it all. Um, and he's been very very involved and really great. Um, so we moved to Long Beach for about a year with her before we moved back to New York. So we both suffered with postpartum after that. Mourning, leaving New York, but also excited being new parents and just being like, what the fuck are we doing
Yeah.
in a foreign place to us? So we were in Long Beach for a year and then we moved back to New York. It was the best decision we made for our family because now we didn't change our life to have our daughter. She got to just like hop into our lives and
Yeah.
move forward. So that has been huge for us, was moving back to New York. We kind of pass her back and forth like a football. Like I get to train, he watches her. He gets to train, I watch her. So we kind of do that back and forth. Sometimes someone has to take on the workload more than the other, and we try to adjust. Is there a lot of fighting? Yes. Is there
That was going to be my
resentment?
next question. Yeah.
Is there resentment sometimes? Yes. But we're managing and we're kind of getting through, and it's really fucking hard. We just had a big milestone in our life. We bought a place in Greenpoint. Um, that
Congratulations.
was
That's huge.
that
It's
was a
huge.
big thing for us. Um, and and so yeah, sometimes I want to strangle him and not be with him, but do I really not want to be with him? Of course I want to be with him. He's an amazing father.
Yeah.
Um, but we do fight a lot. Like it's not easy. Um,
It really isn't. And these early years are just, I mean, everybody says that whatever chapter of parenting you're in is the hardest chapter of parenting because I know that it
yeah,
evolves and changes, but there's something so visceral about the early years where you're so sleep deprived and like your kid needs you in a way that they need you differently later. And for me, I feel like it just highlights every sort of like societal expectation, imbalance,
yeah,
whatever, and like all of your own ingrained shit that you bring with you from your own childhood, like all of it comes up in a way that has been kind of lying dormant the rest of your
yep.
adult life.
It all has and currently is just coming up. Like all of his skeletons, all of my skeletons are coming up with the way we were raised, and we don't want to bring that to her. And so learning how to manage that and how we're going to maneuver through this so we can try not to fuck her up, right?
Yeah.
Has been a really, really interesting journey. And now I just, it's hard, but at least we finally, in being pregnant and having her and kind of moving around, finally having a place where we can settle and raise her where we want to raise her, where it's diverse, where it fits our lifestyle, where we could get back to our hobbies,
Yeah.
is been major. Like re, refinding our old self in our new self again, and that's what we needed for our family was coming back to New York.
It
So
makes total sense. And I think there's a story we might need to do a follow-up because I feel like there's so much more that we haven't gotten to get into, but I
yeah,
do want to have an opportunity because I think it is so indicative of who you are as a parent and the kind of parent you want to be. I would
yeah.
love it if you could tell this story of your sort of retirement fight
Okay.
because there's so much in there. There's so much metaphor in there.
Yeah.
And I think it just like really brings to light like who you are as a parent. So obviously you can't fight once you realize that getting kicked in the boob fucking hurts and you're
Yeah.
pregnant. And
Yeah.
then you come back, you're given this opportunity. Tell me about that final fight.
So when we moved back, then I could get back to training. So that I thought my Muay Thai was like done in competing, right? So I decided this past summer I'm gonna do one more. I didn't want the baby to retire me, and
Yeah.
I did not want COVID to retire me either. So I asked my partner, work slow. Can I do one more? And he was all for it. He supported me. He let me do the training, supported with the diet, every single thing. So I was actually in camp for 3 months. Um, I was fighting. I used to have the belt in my division for this particular promotion. And so when I submitted my name to compete, everybody was so happy and excited. And there was a lot of amp um, in preparation for it. There was like a photo shoot with my daughter um, and everything. And so when it came to the fight, I ended up fighting a young girl who's like an up and coming fighter in my division who's been very, very active. And so, there's a thing called ring rust. And I definitely had ring rust going through COVID and having a kid. So I did all I could to prepare for this fight. But what was different about this fight compared to the rest was I came into this fight with a heart full of gratitude, and I came into this fight knowing that this moment was a privilege. Before, I felt I had imposter syndrome. I never thought I belonged there. I took it too seriously in a way that it made me ill. Like, right, there's a lot of like eating disorders and like body dysmorphia when it comes to competition. So I did deal with like the dark side of that. But this time around, after living this life and becoming a mother, I came with that, as corny as it sounds, I came with that mother strength.
I love that.
And so I fought, and we could link this too if you want. I lost, but I'll tell you about the fight. The first round, I get knocked down, and everyone thinks it's over, like, and I don't. And I kept saying in preparation for this fight, like, this fight's just for me. This is not for Aurelia. Like, this is a selfish sport. This is just for me. Like, I kept thinking like she has nothing to do with this. Kept pushing her in the back of my mind. I got knocked down at the end of the first round, and I got up. And in that moment, from getting up to the round ending, so many things crossed through my mind. Hey, what the fuck are you doing here? You're a mother. Why are you doing this?
Mm. Like this is
Imposter syndrome.
dangerous.
This is dangerous. How dare you? How selfish of you. Then I also thought, I got down. I'm not going down in this fight like this. If Aurelia watches this fight, she's going to see her mom get the fuck back up and finish. And so those two things came to my mind. And then the third thing was my coach is going to tell me exactly what to do. So
Mm.
I sit in, end of first round, go in, second round, fight my little ass off. Very, very, very close round. No one knows. Third round, a lot like to say I won that round. Fought my ass off. I dumped her. Like, I put her on the ground in the very last moment. It's very important to end strong when you compete. So I ended strong. Put her on the ground. like in the clinch, which means we were like wrestled up, and then I pulled her down and she was on the ground. And I ended really, really strong. So strong that everyone was like, oh my God, we don't know who won. Right? Very controversial. I know as a competitor, she won. Like, I know she won. But to others, people that were rooting for me, you kind of have biased eyes, started to make people think maybe Alma did win, right? So we end the fight. I lost. It was fine, but it was a very, very, very close match. If anything, it should have been a draw, right? But of course, they're going to give it, no one wants to see a draw. They're going to give it to her. So she won. So now when I think back at the fight, I think how amazing for Aurelia to watch this, you know, like to get up, to not give up. And even though I didn't win, I still got up and gave it my all. And so she was the reason that pushed me to finish the fight. And also, when I was in my corner, remember the girl that hooked me up with my partner now?
Yeah.
I heard her voice. She was like, do it for Aurelia, Alma. Do it for Aurelia. And
it's the second time I've heard this story, and I cannot help but tear up. Like, I just can't help.
Yeah. She and Aurelia gave me that extra strength as much as I wanted to deny that she
and
had
you put that bitch on the ground.
Yeah, I put her on the ground. Like, I ended strong, and I had a lot of really great moments in that fight that I'm really, really proud of. And out of all of my fights, even though I lost, it was my favorite fight. And if you watch the fight,
which we'll put in the show notes.
Yeah. If you watch the fight, I used to enter like a little nervous, very stoic face. This time I came in, I was dancing. Like, I had a amazing walkout song. Like I'm dancing, I'm having fun. Like, I am just milking in my moment.
Amazing.
And the community just like loved and celebrated and just like loved me no matter what. And to end the story, it was nominated one of the best female fights of the year out of 3. Yeah.
I love it. Alma, it's such a beautiful story. It encapsulates so much about, I think, what you're about, your experience, both as a person and as a parent. And I don't know how somebody could listen to that story who's a parent and not feel something deeply, because it is so beautiful.
Yeah.
I have so many more questions for you. I think we might have to do an extended Q&A in the Substack to follow up with the episodes. But thank you so much for spending time with me today. This has been such a joy.
Thank you for letting me share my story and just like letting me revisit parts of my life that I haven't really thought about. It makes me, it's nice to reflect and to see how far I've come. So
you're a fucking legend. You're a legend.
Me a platform.
I can't wait for people to hear this. Team, I need your help. If you love it here, please like and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. Subscribe to the Substack for full access to this episode's show notes and join the discussion. And of course, follow me on Instagram at mutha, mutha.life, for a daily look at all things mother. Thanks for listening. Be sure to tune in next week for another Chat in the Closet. This podcast was produced by Mother Life, music by Ronan Landa. See you next time.